Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Julia Polston with Indiana Constructors, Inc. in Morgan Roads. And today I have Lucas Clark. He's a project manager with Rieth-Riley Construction. So thanks for joining me today, Lucas.
You're welcome. Absolutely.
Yeah, so if you want to go ahead and we'll just start with, you can just tell everybody who Rieth-Riley Construction is and what they do.
All right. So I'm a project manager for Rieth-Riley out of Indianapolis. I've been with Rieth-Riley for 5 years now. So Rieth-Riley is a full service, heavy highway and infrastructure company. Anything from your bigger commercial parking lots all the way up to like interstate interchanges, highway projects, a lot of these 70 closures and that type of stuff. So we get into really all facets of it. We are also an INDOT certified asphalt producer. So a lot of our business is making and selling asphalt, kind of parallel to the actual construction.
Awesome.
So that's kind of a little bit about us. We like it all, whatever we can get into: bridges, pipe work, asphalt, site work, anything in between.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been seeing the Rieth-Riley logo on a lot of trucks on the south side of Indy where I live right now because of all the roundabouts that they're putting in. So everyone, that's why I'm glad you wore your logo shirt today so everyone can see your logo.
There we go. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, so if you want to also go ahead and tell everyone your career journey, like you said, you've been a project manager for the last 5 years with Rieth-Riley, but just go ahead and tell everyone kind of like where you started to how you got into your position that you're in now.
Okay. So at the end of high school, I wasn't really excited about more school. It just wasn't something I was super excited about, but didn't really have any better options. And my parents kind of put a situation in front of me that just seemed like that was the best option I had at the time. So in the fall of 2000, I enrolled at Purdue in their construction and engineering management program. And that was through the School of Engineering. And it didn't take real long for me to realize that I was not so much the engineering type of person. So after a short stint there, I ended up jumping over into their building construction management program, which is in the School of Technology. It's just a little more hands-on, a little better fit for me personally. It really was a good fit there for somebody that wasn't so math, science, theory minded. So that worked out pretty good for me. I started my career in the heavy highway industry in the summer of 2002 with Walsh Construction. They were doing a project just down the road from my house. I grew up in Mount Comfort, Indiana, and Walsh was redoing the interchange at 465 and 70 over on the east side. They had a several-year design build project there, and it was close. I knew enough to know what trailer doors to knock on and who to bother. And eventually, I think they just gave up. And the easiest way to get rid of this guy is just to hire him. So, I did that for a while, off and on through school. And then I ended up actually in the commercial building construction world for about 10 years after graduation. I traveled all over building some apartments and commercial buildings and just kind of got a different direction for a while. And over the years, I'd gotten to know a couple people in the industry, and a close personal friend of mine, a fellow by the name of Sam Tolan, who runs Cracker's Demo now, was a mutual friend we'd met through our wives. He approached me in 2015 as Rieth-Riley was trying to staff up a little bit and said, hey, we brought some folks in from commercial building that were doing project management stuff over there, and that's really been a good fit for the roles that they were trying to fill. So I interviewed and that spring, and the rest they say is history. So that's kind of how
awesome.
I got to where I got now.
That's awesome. See, that's one thing I really enjoy about our industry, is a lot of people go, whether it's school or they choose the not school route. One thing that I've learned and that I love is it's about relationships. So what you just said is a prime example of what a lot of our industry is based off of, is relationships. So that's really awesome. Now I know as a project manager, overall in our industry, project managers kind of, you know, have similar day-to-days, but depending on what company you work for, day-to-day may not necessarily be the same as somebody else. So at Rieth-Riley, if you could explain kind of what your day-to-day is like, and I know it probably maybe have been a little bit different the last couple months due to COVID pandemic, because I know we are considered essential work, but a lot of people have been in and out of the office. So with pandemic aside, not including that, let everyone know what a project manager at Rieth-Riley's day-to-day is like.
So depending on how you view it, I've either been lucky or unlucky, but part of my role is as a project manager is I end up out on sites at like a satellite office. So I have my own office in Noblesville that myself and 3 superintendents work out of. So with construction being an essential service or industry, I've worked every day. So we've been up here through it all, and we're still hard at it, trying to, you know, build America, as they say. So by definition, I'm responsible for like the office side of things. Letters, the contracts, the financial position, billings, you know, attending progress meetings, kind of the back of the house work that goes into a construction project. Now, that being said, the second component to that is supporting the field staff. And the reality is I probably spend 40% of my time doing the office stuff and the other 60 helping our superintendents develop schedules, understand what we signed up for, building the work, you know, getting materials here, thinking, plotting, having a plan. So it's really a nice blend of being, you know, an office-oriented person, but still getting to be a part of the work. And being involved in the actual project. Like I just actually had to run back in. We were out on site with a meeting. It was like, okay, well, I got 10 minutes to be on this. Oh, hop in the truck. Here we go. So yeah, it's a lot of both. So at Rieth-Riley, you get to see both sides of it. But
that's awesome.
By definition, kind of the back of the house office.
That's great. Is there a specific time that you can think back on when you knew you wanted to work in highway construction? I know you said like earlier you worked for Walsh and then you were on the commercial side of things and then you eventually got into this industry. But the time before you had the opportunity to work at Rieth-Riley, was there any time where you knew highway construction was where you wanted to be?
So I would imagine it was at a pretty young age if I really boil it all down, but I'm not sure. You know, I'm a gearhead at heart. I've always been a hands-on building stuff type of person.
Yeah.
You know, scenery and that type of thing has always interested me. My grandfather was a heavy equipment mechanic for McAllister his entire life. So I grew up around iron, doing dirt work and that type of stuff. You know, my mom would tell you that it's no surprise that I ended up doing this type of thing because as a kid, I was just always out in the mud doing stuff. But yeah, I think when I first ended up out with Walsh, it was just like, this is really neat. I can see something. I really just get, you know, felt good about that. So, you know, I ended up doing commercial building things, and that, I'm not even sure that was by choice. That was just kind of the direction life led. And even then I was doing the underground, the concrete, the dirt and pipe, that side of it. So, you know, when the opportunity to jump back in, it was like, yeah, I really enjoy that stuff. If I could get back into that full time in an industry that, you know, does that primarily, that would be pretty exciting.
Oh, that's awesome. If you could think on your job that you have or just working in this industry, what is or what has been the most rewarding thing about your job and working in the industry?
To me, I think it's putting a plan together and then seeing it all come together. I mean, you work so hard planning on the front end that when it all works out, and it doesn't always all work out, but when you're done, it's just cool. You know, like you see things and you remember, like, this is how I got here, and that's just a rewarding thing for me. And you know, there's also a lot of, like you had mentioned earlier, a lot of relationships and a lot of camaraderie in the industry. You know, working together, supporting one another, whether it's, our internal people or subcontractors, or even folks that, you might view as competition, are still just fun people to be around. And it just really, I don't know, I think it's just a rewarding thing to see what you've done and remember how you got there and the folks that helped you.
Oh yeah. And what I always tell people, growing up, my dad too is in this industry, and he's been in the industry for 20 plus years. And as a kid, we would be going to different things on the weekends, whether that was like sports or just something with family. And if we were in an area that he had a job, whether he was the project manager on it or estimator, or even if it was just a job that the company he works for had a part of, we would always take a detour and drive past it. And I didn't really, I thought it was cool as a kid, oh, that's really awesome. That bridge my dad helped. But I didn't really understand it until I actually became an adult, and now that I'm in the industry. So that's really great. That, even though I've never personally been on that side of this industry, I definitely have a really great appreciation for that when I hear people like yourself or my dad talk about being able to actually see the final project and the final product of their project. So that's awesome. So what would you say if someone asked you what is the number one skill set that you would need to have to succeed in your current role as a project manager?
So I had a hard time with one, so I came up with two.
Oh, that's even better.
I think it's a toss-up between being organized and being patient, and having those as your focuses as you go into every day and attacking whatever task you're doing. If you can be patient, you can be organized, it's just going to work out better. So, an organization, to be successful in my role, being smart helps, but the big key is being organized. I'm never the smartest person in any room, but if I can keep myself organized and kind of create the tools that help me be successful, and just generally figuring out your weaknesses so you can plan ahead so they don't become your vulnerabilities. So to me, that's the organization side of it. I don't have a great memory, but I know where to find it. If I have access to my computer and my documents, it's great. So, the organization is a huge thing. And then the patience, I think that kind of applies to all facets of life, but being able to boil a situation down to its root cause while also keeping your cool. We have a saying at Rieth-Riley that is, the first one to get mad loses.
Ooh,
so,
I like that.
All jobs get done. The difference between getting done and actually being successful is how you handle the adversity that comes with the challenges you face. And, it's being patient, not getting too twisted one way or the other, staying centered and just focusing on the important stuff instead of the other things that sometimes are distractions. Is that's huge.
Oh, that's a great answer. I'm totally gonna steal that quote and use that sometime. If you could think about what advice you would give your younger self that would help you in your current role, what would that be?
Probably, and again, I ended up with two things here. I don't know what.
No, that's great. More the merrier. I appreciate that.
But, looking back on it, if I could tell myself one thing, it might be, don't take an opportunity to learn for granted. Get involved in industry things early. Get to know the folks that you're working with, whether you're going straight into the industry as a labor folk or a craft person or somebody. Get to know the people you're working for, get to know the people you're working with, get to know your client. If there's an inspector out there you're working with and he's wearing you out, getting to know him and understanding his side of it goes a long way. And then, the other one I came up with is just be humble and ask questions. I was pretty young and hard-headed. That didn't really help me necessarily. If I would have slowed down and thought about why people were taking the position they were, or superiors were telling me things that I was tired of hearing over and over, that would have helped. Oh,
that's great advice. That is really, really great. So if somebody asked you why, specifically a student in high school, if they asked you why they should choose a career path in highway construction, what would you tell them and what advice about that would you give them?
I think generally it's fun. And the industry as a whole is full of just genuinely good people. It's stable. The future is strong. I mean, cars and vehicles. Ground travel's not going away. You know, the world is continuing to evolve, and there's many different facets of that, but all of it involves, you know, the infrastructure component up to it. The other part of that is a lot of the infrastructure is getting old. So the stability in the future is really a comforting thing as you get older. When you're younger, you're thinking about other things, but as you get older, it's like, man, this is a good place to be.
Yeah.
You know, and the industry also rewards hard work, and the opportunities are just kind of endless. If you put your mind to it and you get to know the folks you're working with and they get to know you and they see that you care, they're just going to keep feeding you more opportunities. And there's really no ceiling anywhere in the highway industry, at least that I've seen so far.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of different opportunities for sure. And like you said, the opportunities are endless, whether, you know, you go straight into, you know, field work right out of college, you know, right out of high school, or if you decide to take the college route. I feel like a lot of people, when they think of highway construction, they specifically think, you know, equipment, you're out in the field getting your hands dirty. But if you don't want to go on that side of highway construction, there's other sides, for instance, like mine, in communications and talent development is an opportunity that I was presented with. And I didn't think I was going to be in this industry at all. I mean, shoot, I was a communications major in college and I thought I was going to be working in healthcare. And then an opportunity came and I said, sure, why not? And it's kind of cool because I'm in the same industry as my dad. So I definitely have learned a lot over the last few years that I've, you know, been in the industry. So now when he talks about stuff, I actually can comprehend what he's saying, which is really, really great.
There you go.
Yeah. So, well, this was great. I am super excited to share this with students, and hopefully this sheds some light and encourages them, you know, to choose our industry. And yeah, thank you so much. This is really, really great. I really appreciate it, Lucas.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anytime. Anything that we can do to, you know, kind of build our brand, so to speak, I'm interested in. This is great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.